My dad lost his way ethically. He was disbarred and almost went to prison.
You end up just living for other people and not for yourself.
They would say, "Can I really talk to you about this, Elena?" They would lean in and whisper. How would you describe your why?
Get out of being micromanaged, being pushed down, being silenced, being bullied, a horrible culture.
When you were speaking, I could feel your pain. I think in some ways I'm also bridging to save myself from a future life.
I've literally got goose pimples. People ask me if I regret leaving law. The answer is simple. I never left. I just do law my way now. So many women feel stuck, trapped in their legal careers, but I'm here to tell you there's another way. Today I'm talking with Elena. She helps women lawyers enjoy fulfillment, freedom and flexibility, either in or out of law.
Some people are so scared that they've invested so much in becoming a lawyer. You never have to give that up. It's part of you.
I hope you don't mind me asking such a deep question.
Holly, you have such good questions.
She's the founder of the organization Women Interested in Leaving Big Law. We have a very raw and vulnerable conversation about life on the other side of law. I'm really excited for you to hear this one.
When the pain of staying is greater than the fear of the unknown of what comes next, that's often when there's an opening.
When I personally worked in law, there was a point in my career where I did feel a bit trapped, a bit stuck, like I don't know where to go.
Yeah.
I really want to travel and work, but I don't know how to get out of this fixed way of working.
Yeah.
Why do you think it is important for women specifically not to feel like they're stuck in their legal career?
Holly, you have such good questions, and I totally want to hear more about your story for my listeners and your listeners, for both our listeners. I think of it this way. I see so many women who come to me, women lawyers, they're in a pitfall, right? And they're in this pitfall paralysis. And when they're in this pitfall, it's like you were saying, like they feel stuck. They don't know what else they can do. They know that they're smart and capable and hardworking, but they don't know how to translate their legal training into something that feels more aligned, that is aligned with their values, is aligned really with their skills, and is aligned with the kind of life that they want to live and the difference that they want to make in the world. You know, I mean, sure, some people go into law for the money, but most of the women I work with go into the law because they want to do something meaningful and important in the world and help people. I think it's of paramount importance in their lives to figure it out because they are often feeling like they're wasting their life and their potential. And if they don't figure this out, they feel like they're going to waste more time, more energy building someone else's business and not living their truth. I could give you an example if you want to hear one, but I want to hear what you think also.
I'd love to hear your example.
So yesterday, actually, I hosted really a book launch party for a client of mine and one of the things she said was, so she just wrote her first novel and I hosted a book launch party because she's launching her own book this month, a romance novel, and about a big law attorney who creates an opportunity for herself to go to Paris to do a summer writing hiatus, and she takes it. And Leah, my client, was talking about how she would not recognize herself from 5 years ago. She felt she was a fifth-year associate. She had shuffled around for 3 different big law firms trying to find a place, out there that would make her happy outside of herself. And when she came to Will and she came to our work, she said, I feel like if I were to die in my office, we started working together before the pandemic, they would roll my body out and just bring someone else in. And now, so that was 2019. So 5 years later, she is left law completely. I mean, she still has her degree. She can go back to practicing if she wants, but she went from big law to an in-house job. She took a leave of absence so she could reclaim her mental health, which is so often very negatively impacted by law school and working in the practice, working in firms.
Mm-hmm.
And then she started writing classes. And then she continued in our work. I have a mastermind where I work with women lawyers who have creative aspirations. And she is now a full-time writer.
Wow.
And when she said, one of her proudest moments was when she gave notice at her in-house job. And she was really betting on herself. She said, why not go for it? Why not go for the life I really want to live? Like,
Yeah.
I'm the only one's getting in my way.
Yeah, exactly. I absolutely love that. And I think I've spoken to quite a few lawyers and I was one myself. And you just embody this like personality and identity that I'm a lawyer, that's all I am, that's all I can be. I
Yeah.
can't be anything more. And I don't know why, but women specifically get this. I mean, probably men as well, but I've mainly spoken to women about it. And they just can't get past this identity. And it's like, they can't think, well, actually, I'm also creative. I'm also
Yeah.
a writer. I'm also all these
Yeah.
other things, a musician, whatever. It's like that all goes out the window when you enter a legal profession, I found.
I think it doesn't actually go out the window. I think it gets buried. I think they
Yeah.
think it has to go out the window, but I think it's still inside them. And, one of the things I try and remind people of when we start working together, even before I write about this, is like, you're so much more than a lawyer already. So, anyone listening, I invite you to think about that. Like, what are some of your other identities? Write them down.
Yes. What made you go into helping women lawyers?
It's a really, really good question because I'm not a lawyer myself. But my dad was one. And as a little kid, I always thought I'd be a lawyer like him. And I would go to his office. He was a criminal defense attorney in New York. And I'd go to he had a couple of partners. They had a small office on West 72nd Street. And I'd go and help him file. And I'd go down to court with him. And we would, around the dinner table, do like mock trial almost almost nightly, like taking turns being the judge, the jury, the defense, the prosecutor, like me, my brother, my mom and dad. And so I really had that in me. And then my dad lost his way ethically. I think he spent too much time around criminals and he lost his way. And he was disbarred and almost went to prison. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But it just no longer felt like a safe option for me. And so I meandered through my early 20s in nonprofit work, and I went to public health school. I have master's in public health, and then I discovered coaching after public health school. And I thought, ooh, I want to do that. But I got married, I had kids, and then kept looking at the NYU program, coaching program every fall, every spring. And finally I said, I have to start taking classes. And the program was designed that you could just take a class. And I was working full time at a nonprofit and raising two young children. And I just had to start my coach training. It just felt like it was really calling me. And I think that's one thing about my life that, like, I listen to those inner nudges and callings. And I think that gets buried for so many people under the shoulds. And I think it's one of the things I am good at because it's not always easy to listen to that. But I do tune in, and it is important to me to follow my inner guidance and help people follow theirs. And so then once I started coaching, I started attracting lawyers to me. And I ended up coaching, and I joined forces with a business partner, and we were coaching some of the world's biggest firms. And I was coaching these amazing, brilliant women who were giving their all to their jobs. So expected to just turn over their whole lives, like roll over onto their back and just give everything. When I would ask them, what do you want? Do you want to make partner? They would say, can I really talk to you about this, Elena? They would lean in and whisper. And I'd say, yeah, you can. And from helping these women, and one in particular who she got very clear she wanted to go in-house to a startup that had the benefit of unlimited vacation days. She was European. Every time she would try and go home for a family vacation or an important event, they would ask her to cancel her vacation. They would give her shit for not doing it. And I just thought, these are women who are like bright and brilliant and have so much to offer the world, and they feel stuck and trapped. And I just feel like the world needs all of us to be shining our light. And the amount of pain and suffering I see in women lawyers, like with all that joy and gifts and burning desire to do good work in the world buried in them, I just want to help them fucking rip open their shirt and, like Supergirl, and like tear that open and it go soar and be their amazing, brilliant selves. Because I'm working on that in my own life too. It's just like, I feel like the world needs all of our power and energy towards good. We really need that. And when people are stuck, it's not okay. So I feel like I'm really here to like help this woman write her book. It was just such a gift. And she actually dedicated it to me, which I didn't know she was, going to do when I opened it. I just burst into tears when I saw that. And she said, this book exists because of you. And I just feel like everyone has a metaphoric book in them. And I want to help, them live their lives. And by doing that, I feel like I'm living mine.
Wow, that's incredible. That is a truly incredible story. And I think it's so brilliant that you're able to bring that out in people and recognize, them being stuck and what they could achieve, and then actually helping them achieve it, like this woman. It must be so rewarding for you.
Thanks, Holly. I get a little emotional sometimes, but like that's part of who I am, and that's part of what I bring is the ability to cry pretty easily. And I'm trying not to hold back like all my magic, and I think tears are magical.
Yeah,
you don't need to hold back. So tell me about you. Tell me about your journey from law into doing this podcast and helping other lawyers podcast and get out of law and into a new way of doing law, please.
Yeah. So, the number one reason why I got out of law is because I always had this desire and passion to travel. So I wanted to figure out a way that I could do that without being constrained to the holiday vacation leave that we get, when we're working in a law firm. But now that I'm kind of completely out of that, and I'm, a few years into being my own boss and being able to travel and work, I'm actually now reflecting on my time in law, and I just can't believe the stuff that I actually went through and what actually happened. And it's just, now I'm reflecting, I'm just thinking, it's just crazy. And thank goodness I actually got out of it, because I don't actually know what would happen to me if I was still in it. I'd probably be driven to burnout, and I'd be a different person. I wouldn't be happy and kind of flourishing that like I feel like I am now.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you should talk about these women who feel like they're stuck in law, because that's kind of how I felt. And I felt like I was bashed down. If ever I wanted to raise an interesting point or say, oh, we could do this, or because I'm an innovative person. I've always got ideas, and I'm ambitious, and I tried to put that into the places that I was working, but I was just kind of received with being bashed down, like, no, get back in your box type of thing. And I didn't really like that. And I'm a creative person. I wanted to do something different. And so, I started this podcast to make a change, be different, and help women see that there is another way, not just women, lawyers in general, similar to what you do. So we have the same purpose.
Yeah. when you were speaking, like I could feel your pain, and a lot of people have PTSD from practicing, and I could, I sort of wanted to ask you questions, but didn't want to because I could feel like you've left that thing that was causing you a lot of pain, and when you were reflecting on it, but just being, no, get back in your box, just turn out these contracts, build these number of hours. I'm sorry that happened to you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you kind of summon the courage to leave, and what helped you on your path towards where you are now?
Oh, to be honest, it was really difficult because when you don't know or see anyone else doing what you want to do,
Yeah.
you it becomes really, really difficult, and you're the only leader that you can see. And when you're leading yourself, it's hard. Yeah, I mean, it was just one thing after another. I was moving from law firm to law firm. I wasn't in staying in places very long because I was thinking it was the law firm. But then
Right.
after a number of years, after like, 6 or 7 years, I realized that actually it's not it's not me or the law firm, it's
Yeah.
just the industry,
Yeah.
and it's the way of life, it's the way of working, and I cannot stay in this sustainably.
Yeah.
I will Something will happen, like, it'll be my mental health, it'll
Yeah.
be relationships, it'll be something bad will happen. So
Yeah.
I need to get out before it gets to that, really. So I kind of saw that and realized, no, we need another way. And when your reason why is
Hmm.
stronger than the fear of staying and making
Exactly.
a change, you go with that, basically. So I was
Yeah.
driven by my why.
And so how would you describe your why?
Well, at the time,
Yeah.
it was to get out of the rat race, the
Yeah.
9 to 5, the office, get out of being micromanaged, being pushed down, being silenced, being bullied, a horrible culture. Get out of all of that.
Yeah.
That was the why. Travel and get out of that.
Yeah.
But now it's different because I'm out of it. So now it's like I want to help other people who
Yeah.
are in that see that there's another way. Because when I was in it, I didn't see another way. There was no other way.
Yeah.
And people were telling me, you can't. Are you crazy? You can't go and travel and work. It's just not possible. No one does that. And then pandemic came, and people did it.
And people were doing it before, but like you were just
Yeah.
in this, right? But you were in this culture. And excuse me, something I love about what you said is like, is your why changed? Your why changed. And I think if anyone's watched or seen Simon Sinek talk about find your why, and it doesn't have to be a fixed thing. I love that. It was like initially, I mean, there's two other things that you said that I want to really highlight. When your why became bigger than your fear, that was what tipped. And I think for people, when the pain of staying is greater than the fear of the unknown of what comes next, that's often when there's an opening, when they're like you said, I can't take this anymore, nothing good is going to come from this. And
Yeah.
when I have consultations with people, I often ask them, like, what will happen for you if you don't make a change? And they say
Yes.
very similar things to what you said, of nothing good will come from it. My mental health will suffer. My relationships will deteriorate. I can't tell you the number of times women have told me, I snap at my husband, I snap at my kids, I feel like crap after that. I'm not sleeping, my hair is falling out, I've got GI and digestive issues, just the physical and mental health toll.
Hmm.
But yet, when they're in that culture like you were in, of like, oh, no one does that, oh, you can't do that, oh, you make so much money, what are you going to do, who will you be, you have so much prestige, why would you give that up?
Yeah.
But so when they're getting those messages, but they know in their soul, if they don't do something, it's not good, it's not sustainable.
Yes.
so so
Yes. 100%.
so you had that, and then And then when the fear of like, okay, but I have to do something else, and this is where I think so many women get stuck. They know they have to do something else, but then in our culture also it's like, well, you should be able to figure this out on your own, or you're smart and capable, you don't need to pay someone to help you to do this, or you should know how to do this. But most of the people I work with, I don't know about you, but like went pretty much straight from kindergarten through law school. And occasionally some people work a little bit in between, but for most people, being a lawyer is the only professional identity they've ever really had. So it can be very scary to think about what else can I do? And they've never had to really look for a job in a way that was not a lockstep way, or going from one legal job to another. There are plenty of recruiters to help you do that. But if you want to figure out really what else you can do, that feels really like stepping off this very lockstep path. And it can be scary.
Yeah, definitely.
But there's people to help them, like me, like you, like others. Like there's a whole bunch of coaches who are helping lawyers make this change. And there's an industry for, there's people are like, I can't believe there's a whole industry to help lawyers make this change. And when I started, there weren't as many. And I'm glad there are many people out there, because there is a huge amount of pain and paralysis.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to say, just like if you were to renovate your house and you had never done that before, and you had a big family event coming up and you wanted your house to be ready to host your family and friends, would you hire a designer or a contractor to do the renovation?
Yeah.
Like to help you
Yeah.
design it so it fits your life.
Exactly, yeah. I have a question
Yeah.
for you, and I hope you don't mind me asking such a deep question. And you don't have to answer it if you don't want to.
Bring
But
it. Bring it. I love the heavy questions. Bring it.
do you think that you helping women get out of law or do something that they want to do, design their own lives, create their own future in the way that they want to, do you think that that is your younger self trying to help your dad?
I so appreciate this question. It's really a beautiful question. So I'm really touched by it. Thank you. I think it's like I feel like the karma for my starting this is totally connected to my dad. So I feel like what I've come to, and I've thought about this a lot, I have a lot of compassion for my dad, for what happened to him and why he did what he did. And I think we know now, when you're surrounded by people, you become very influenced by them. Like we are kind of like the 5 people closest to us. And he was spending all day around very, very people who were lost and unethical. And I do think it was sort of karmically like he threw himself under the bus for me. And so I do think part of this is about healing him. Yeah, I do. I hadn't thought about it quite like that. So I really appreciate the question. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think he diverted my life by doing what he did.
Yeah, I can imagine that. It sounds like it really affected you because that's when I asked you,
Yeah.
why do you help lawyers? That was your answer, Well,
Yeah.
you started off by talking about, well, my dad was a lawyer, so
Yeah.
it makes sense that that would be what you're trying to do, which is amazing.
Yeah. I also think I would have been very unhappy as a lawyer. I think I also would have felt very trapped. I think it would not have been a good fit for me. And I think so I see also like a potential future path I would have taken. And I also
Yeah.
think I'm helping sort of like in quantum physics, right? There's all these parallel universes, lives we're actually living. So I think in some ways I'm also bridging to save myself from a
Yeah.
future life that was not a good fit.
I've literally got goose pimples.
Yeah. I'm very woo woo. So like, but I'm also a really strong feminist, and I believe in the power of women to be fully expressed in their lives. And there's so much patriarchal conditioning that we all have. Men have it too. Men suffer from the patriarchy just as much, and non-binary people just as much. But I really want people who are born as women to break through some of this social conditioning of being so good, and this this client who wrote the book, I mean, she's very public about it. So I can share her name and share her book so people can go read it because it's amazing. Her author name is Ellie Jennings. So she's at author Ellie Jennings on Instagram. And she said in our conversation that, she started telling family members, like, no, I no. And she'd been raised to respect her elders and not cause waves. And that was a big breakthrough for her too, was to not just be the good girl with her aunt who wanted her to be a lawyer. And she said, no, we're not talking about this anymore. And her aunt kept kind of going back to it. And she was like, I'm done with that for now.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
having to just set those boundaries in her most intimate familial relationships is part of the process.
Yeah, definitely. And the same thing happened to me, even before I started my legal career, I actually took a year out and went and taught English in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, making comments like, you've done, legal qualifications, you've done a degree and whatnot. Why are you why are you going to teach English in Spain? It's like, well, that's just because I want to do that.
Yeah.
And then, leaving law completely, people were like, well, what on earth are you going to do? As if there's nothing else out there. And people are shocked and surprised because it's like, well, you built up this career, you've got this prestigious like job.
Yep.
Why on earth would you throw that all away? But it's not about throwing it all away. It's just something that's kind of happened. You've gained experience and it doesn't work for you. If you feel like you have this pressure from people around you to stay in this position because it's prestigious and you should feel grateful for getting there, then it just becomes a bit of a burden for you and you end up just living for other people and not for yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. And so you were able to break out of that. And I want to hear more about your life now. And you are living in Spain again. And you're not teaching English, I don't, to the best of my knowledge. And you're podcasting and so tell us a little bit about your life now.
I'm so much happier now and it's so much better because I can design the life that I want now, which is I wake up almost every day and just think, I can't actually believe this. It's like a dream. It's amazing. I help lawyers and law firms create their own podcasts. I write legal content still for law companies.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really enjoy it. I'm still doing law in a way.
Yeah.
I'm still writing legal guidance, but I'm just not doing it in the way that it was done before.
Yeah.
But it means that I can do it at any time that I want and I can go and travel. I can spend a few weeks in Bali and, just enjoy myself. I can go for long walks because I consider long walks part of my work now.
Me
Because
too.
I'm
I
like,
do also. Yes, I do also. I'm like, taking a walk is actually part of my work day. It's
yeah,
actually where I get my best ideas. So I record blog posts while I'm walking. So totally, I get you. Yeah.
yeah, and I love that, and that was never a thing or recognized in a profession. It's like taking a walk. You're literally, I don't know, just ditching all your work and just making an excuse to not do anything. But it's like, no, walking is now my most productive time. I do research, I think, and you get to do things that you weren't able to do or
Yeah.
that wasn't appreciated in your office job.
I love that so much. And so speak about, you just took a month off, right? In Bali, is that true?
I took two weeks
2 weeks.
off,
Okay.
but I was away for a month. I spent a bit of time in England as well. That was incredible because I actually switched off, disconnected, and now I feel so much more refreshed.
Yeah.
And again, it's something that you can't really do in a job because I don't know, you've got it's funny because whenever I took holidays when I was working,
Yeah.
um, you know, in as an employee, I would always get to the end of the holiday and think, "Oh, I've got to go back to the real world, to
Yeah.
real life now," as if the holiday wasn't real life.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I get to go back and work and it's like a dream come true. It's like I look forward to going to work, and it's not like the real world or real life, because now my whole life is real life. Do you know what I mean?
Now I've got full body chills. Yes, yes. And that happens. I get full body chills when people really hit upon their own truth, when we hear truth spoken, your truth, because there's no one absolute truth, but there's yours. That was so beautiful. That was so beautiful. I just like your dream life is your real life.
Yeah, that's it.
And a couple of things. I mean, I want to really commend you, and I'm curious, like, what helped you really unplug, because so many of the women I work with, they can leave the big law firm and go to a non-legal role or in-house or starting their own business, but it can be really hard to shed that conditioning, that work ethic, the drive. They're so conditioned to bill, and it can be very hard to disconnect. And when you have your own business, I know this and I was saying to you before we started recording, like, it's hard for me to disconnect for 2 weeks. So what helped you do that?
You have to change your mindset, firstly. It's taken me a long time to change out of a corporate job mindset.
Yes.
Even you take that into your business life,
Yeah.
and it stays with you, and you think, for example, I still time myself doing tasks. I still think like a lawyer.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time to get out of that. And it's the same thing with disconnecting.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to disconnect and actually make that mental shift. But I feel like this year and lately, I've been able to do that, mainly with the help of my business coach and podcasts, and really journaling and digging deep.
Yeah.
And it's only now, I'm still not there, but like you make the baby steps to change your mindset and think, no, you need to let go.
Yeah.
What's the worst that could happen? My clients have all been informed that I'm not going
Yeah.
to be available.
Yeah.
Now you need to let go. That's it. And so I just let go, and it really, really helped, and create that space, space for new ideas, space for rest. And honestly, I highly recommend it.
Okay, you're inspiring me. You're inspiring me big time. And it's so true. It's so baby steps, and this is one of the places where I see so many people get stuck too. Is like they think, I'm just going to make this change. They know it's not going to be overnight. They want to know what the outcome is going to be before they take a step. And we have to take these baby steps. I like the analogy of, it's like going hiking to, up a mountain to see a beautiful view. And you can't see the view from the parking lot, from the trailhead. You have to like get out of the car and tighten up your shoelaces and walk step by step up a path. And it's easier when the path has been blazed for you, and there are trail markers, and someone else has walked it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And another thing that helps me is I read this thing, and it's be, do, have. So you have to be the person that you want to be before you even have that,
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to embody, okay, if you want to, let's say you're in a law job and
Yeah.
you want to get out.
Yeah.
Okay, think of what would you do? What would be the things that you would do to get to where you want to be?
Yeah.
So, for example, when I was in my law job and I wanted to get out, I would wake up 2 hours earlier, and I would read business books and read mindset books, and I would change my mindset, and I would journal, and I would learn how to think and be like a business person, because you have to work on your be before you can have it.
Yes.
So, you've got to make that shift and just think, how do I become the person I want to be before I am that person? You know what I mean?
I do. And those, like, back to kind of the quantum field and timelines, like those work on those simultaneous timelines, right? So when you're envisioning the things you want to have, I want to have a life where I'm traveling, where I can podcast from wherever, where I can take 2 weeks in Bali. That's the thing that you want to have. And then so you have to envision it and then be the person who's doing the things to get there, right? So again, it kind of goes full circle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. I think it's okay to have the vision for what you want and then work each of those steps. How do I have to be? How do I have to think? Like you were working on your mindset. What's the thing I could do? Okay, I can wake up 2 hours earlier and read these books. So I'm curious what books um, you read. But there's something I wanted to go back to from what you said before about what you're doing now, and then we'll come back to the books. Um, which is which is I just think like you're still working in the law, like you said, and this is one of the surprising things I found when I started. I thought more women would want to leave the law, but the vast majority, 60 to 70% of the women I work with, continue in the law in a different way, or some kind of legal adjacent way, or starting their own firm, or gig lawyering part-time, or doing some legal writing or legal marketing or research, depending on their strengths and skills.
Mm.
One client, she's now working for like she's working and she was in litigation. She hated it. Her strengths or harmony and empathy. And now she's working for like the Writers Guild of America. And she like during the writers strike last year, she was like really helping the writers, and she was using all her empathy and her compassion for them. And she has like, it's a really 9 to 5 job, and she's able to shut off at 5 o'clock and be with her toddler. She's still in the law, but just in a way better fit for her. So I think some people are so scared that they've invested so much in becoming a lawyer. And like,
Mhm.
just you never have to give that up. It's part of you. It's part of you, Holly. It's you have it and you're leveraging it in a totally new way that fits what you want to be, do, and have in your life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really interesting you say that and picked up on that, Elena, because um, it seems weird. I talk a lot on LinkedIn about the culture that I went through in law and how I didn't fit with the ways of working and stuff like that. So I think people probably find it weird. Well, why are you still in law?
Yeah.
And I guess it's a number of reasons. I mean, when people get into law, they do, like you mentioned earlier, it's because they want to help people or they want to make a difference.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily the law that's not working for people. It's the culture, it's the industry, it's what
Yep.
goes on within law. It's not the law. So
Yeah.
I really like I really like law. I find it really interesting. I think very legally and logically and stuff. So it fits me. But I think another thing is, I think it's probably three things actually. It's number one, I like law. Number two, when you think of business, a lot of like the big business people, like I can't remember who said it now, but the top business like dudes, they say stick to what you know. I know the legal industry inside out, so
Yeah.
I've created a business around it because it's my unfair advantage. I have this unfair advantage over other people who might want to tap into the legal industry to provide services for it.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is potentially it might be an insecurity. I have worked in the legal industry pretty much my whole life. Like at the age of 16, I was doing work experience in law firms, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
now 31. So it's been like a big chunk of
Yeah.
my life.
Half your life. Yeah. Your
Yeah,
whole
basic.
adult life, essentially. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like maybe it's an insecurity of mine that, well, it's part of my identity. I've got one foot in the legal door still, and it's my comfort zone.
Or it's an asset that you're leveraging. How do you want to look at it? Yeah.
Yeah, you can look at it
Yeah.
in different ways, but that's probably why a lot of lawyers stay partially
Yeah.
in law.
And why not? Like you are. Why not? It's part of you. It's an asset you have. It's a feather in your cap. No one can ever take it away from you.
Yeah, no, it's been brilliant. Thank you so much, Elena. I really appreciate it.
Me too, you. Thank you for doing this kind of crossover episodes.